So this is actually going to be my last video as a 29-year-old. I'll actually be 30 in 7 days on August 8th. And it's crazy because I can still remember what I did on my 20th birthday. And thinking about all the memories, I recap all the things I've done that led me to this point, all the things that I accomplished, whether I wanted to or I didn't realize I would and I did. And of course, things that I wish I would have accomplished. Now, I wouldn't necessarily say that I have regrets about things that I didn't get a chance to do or that I did wrong, because I believe it shaped me to be the person I am today. But especially on a financial standpoint, there are certain things I wish I would have done differently or did in the first place or did do, or at least wish that someone gave me advice on. So that being said, for my last video as a 29-year-old, I wanted to use this video to talk to you guys that may be approaching your 20s or in the middle of your 20s and give you my top 5 advices that I really wish someone would have gave me when I was younger, or things I should have followed more. And I got a little bit of help from some friends on Instagram. I posted this question and got a lot of reactions. So a lot of their answers combined with mine and create this list of top 5. So hopefully this helps you guys out. Okay, so hopefully by the time you're approaching your 20s, you have a job, whether it's part-time because you're in college or full-time while you're in college or whatever it is. Hopefully you have a job and you're making some money. But what's really cool is having your money work for you. So you gotta make sure you start investing as early as possible. Now, I personally remember the very first time I actually got an opportunity to invest was when I was working at a bank back when I was 20, and I got a little goodie bag for doing something. And one of the things inside the bag was a $5 coupon, I guess, towards an investment app called Stockpile. And I actually used that $5 to buy a share of Starbucks, or at least $5 worth of Starbucks. Now, back then, Starbucks was at about $50 to $55 per share, and they actually paid dividends of about 16 cents per quarter. Assuming that the dividends stayed the same and never increased, and that I actually bought a bit more, just enough to have one share of Starbucks around that time, so a few days or a week later, I would have made an extra $30 to $35 and over $4 in dividends strictly doing nothing. And that doesn't take into an account that I take the dividends and reinvest into them to make more money. And that also doesn't take into an account that the dividend payout has doubled, maybe even tripled between then and now. So of course I'm blessed to know that I don't have to wake up every morning thinking, oh man, I wish I would have invested yesterday. But I really do wish I would have invested when I was a lot younger rather than 26 years old. And of course, I'm nowhere near a professional in investing or a financial advisor, but I do have a lot of friends that come to me that want advice on how to start investing. And the best advice I can give them is just disregard the research you want to do beforehand. Just get into the market. So think about the places you go to eat, or the stores you go to get groceries at, the coffee shops you go to when you study, and even the technology that you have. And I bet you that each of those companies is a publicly traded stock, and even better, I bet you they each pay dividends over some given period of time. So if those companies are places that always see you probably see other people using that technology or those products as well, they're probably gonna last a while. So try investing into those companies. It's even better for new investors to make sure that they're investing for the long term. If you look at the S&P 500, which tracks the top 500 companies in the US, which a lot of people use to kind of get an idea what the market looks like, you can see despite the dips that are occurring from the recent pandemic we're going through now to even back in 2008, regardless, the trend always goes upwards. So if you hold for a long term, you should expect some positive outcomes later on in life. So make sure you definitely start investing early. So the money that's making you money by being invested into the stock market could definitely be used in the short term, but it's really important to make sure you have investments for the long term. If you have a job, it's more than likely that your company offers something called a 401k. It's basically an investment portfolio that can span a bunch of different sectors or even the entire stock market. Now, whenever you invest money into your 401k, you're not taxed until you pull the money out when you approach retirement age, which I believe at this point is about 59 and a half years old. However, one really cool thing about the 401k is that more than likely your company also has a matching feature. So for example, the company I work for currently matches 50% of up to 5% of what I contribute to my 401k, which sounds super confusing, but let me just break this down. So let's say you make $1,000. Now they match up to 5%. So 5% of $1,000, if my math's correct, is $50. So you put $50 into your 401k and they match 50% of that. So 50% of $50 is $25. So that means every time you put $50 in, you're actually getting $75 in total. So technically, once you retire, you're pulling out more money than what you're putting in if you're not thinking about the taxes that you're gonna have to pay. Speaking of taxes, there's another type of retirement account you can set up called a Roth IRA. Companies may also offer this as well, but one really cool thing is you can set it up on your own, which is really beneficial for people that are self-employed. Now, in comparison to a 401k, a Roth account doesn't have any matching features since you have the option to not have it with the company since you can be self-employed. But one cool thing it does is that it really caters to people that genuinely believe that they're gonna make more money as they get older. And the way they do that is that they tax you at the moment you put the money in, but they don't tax you when you take the money out. I can save you thousands of dollars because the more money you make every year, the higher tax bracket you are, and the higher the tax bracket you are, the more money that's taken away from you every single year. So if you anticipate that the money you're making now is less in comparison to the money you're making in the future, then you could potentially save a lot of money if you invest within a Roth IRA. Now, luckily for me, I transferred money from an old 401k through a company I don't work for anymore into an IRA about 2 years ago. So I'm making dividends off that stock, and it's all going to contribute to my future, and I won't be taxed for it. And I've had 401ks for practically every company that I've worked for, unless it's a side job. So that's extra money I'm gonna have in the future. So old me will thank me later, and hopefully that's something you guys are setting up as well. The third thing you have to make sure you do is definitely start building your credit as early as possible. For me, building credit isn't necessarily one of the things I regret not doing too soon because I got my first credit card when I was 19, and it definitely helped me get into positions where I could qualify for my first car note and eventually my first apartment and other loans I may have needed over the time between then and now. But one of the things that you definitely want to keep in mind is you gotta use it responsibly. I'll be honest with you guys, when I was really young, when I saw my credit card balance or the amount of money I had able to spend on the credit card, I took it as, oh, this is part of my income. Now that's stupid. I wish I could tell myself then. So you gotta make sure you use it responsibly, but it's definitely going to be beneficial for you in the future whenever you need to borrow money for something bigger, like a home mortgage, something I'm personally working on right now. And one other thing you also want to keep in mind is that there's definitely other benefits besides building your credit, which is definitely the most important thing. A lot of credit cards have extra perks, whether it's a point system where X amount of points can get you a gift card or other things of that nature. You can also get a credit card like the one I have that gives you cash back for certain purchases at certain places. So not only are you building your credit, but you're actually building another source of income that you can use to pay that card off or use it however you want to. So make sure that's something you set up if you haven't already. And one thing that's really cool about being younger and being in a position to where you want your money to make more money is that you have the opportunity and the flexibility to take more risk. When I say risk, of course, you want them to be slightly calculated. You want to have some idea of where your money is going. But if you have a friend that wants to start a business and they need a few $1,000s and you want to partner up with them, you could potentially do that. Instead of investing into long-term stocks, you could potentially put some money over into a penny stock, which is already risky, but something that could have some short or long-term major reactions in comparison to another long-term stock that's slowly growing over time. You can do things like that. And the reasons being younger is such a benefit is because worst case scenario, it doesn't work out. Hopefully it's calculated so you didn't lose too much money and you can take it as a lesson learned and know what to do better from that point on. And being younger, you have enough time to hopefully make money back to the point as if that never happened. Taking some investment risk when you're younger, I personally believe is going to help you out when you invest when you're a little bit older, like when you're approaching 30. As long as it's calculated. So make sure you do stay careful, but understand you do have a little bit more flexibility. Now, the fifth advice, the advice I really wish I would have started a long time ago, the one thing I really feel like you need to do to make anything else on this list possible is to make a budget. Budgeting is super important. I'm sure there's a lot of you guys out there that wake up in the morning and you check your account balance and you think, okay, there was another zero in the back. Where did that money go? Budgeting, of course, is going to help you understand what your income sources are, how much money you have, and where your money is going, and how much you have left. Me personally, I calculate my net worth every single month. I've been doing that for the past 3 or 4 years, since 2019. So it does give me an overall idea of how I'm doing financially. If my net worth goes up, typically I'm doing better. If it goes down, might mean I'm doing a little bit worse. It just depends on the circumstances. But I'll be honest with you guys, August will be the month that I, for the first time, start actually budgeting by month, taking all the funds that I make as a source of income and actually breaking down how much I'm spending every single month, whether it's recurring bills or other little extra things. I need to personally see where my money's coming from or going to, so I can understand what I have left and how I can budget that. There's a lot of different budgeting techniques. One popular one that I've heard of is the 50-30-20 rule, which I believe you take 50% of your money, put it into your savings account, 30% goes towards your bills. So if you have extra, you can pay off extra bills, which is great. And 20% is everything else that you can use for your fun and leisure. So since 50% of your income is going towards your savings, you can anticipate that you're saving a lot more. And hopefully that savings account is a high yield savings, something that's building more dividends than other regular savings accounts, because that will definitely make you some extra money since your money is working in itself to make more. But once you get more hands-on to what your money looks like, this should hopefully also help you live below your means. That basically means if you make $1,000 a month, you don't have to spend $1,000 a month. Spend $500 a month and save $250 and invest the other $250, something like that. You wanna make sure you're financially healthy. That's gonna help you do everything else, and hopefully that should lead you, by the time you're 30 and beyond, to a more wealthy lifestyle. Hopefully all of these help from a 29-year-old that's been through almost 10 years of accomplishments and things I wish I would have done sooner. Hopefully this helps you guys approach your 20s or finish off your 20s financially stronger than you might have thought you could. But leave comments below about what you think about all these advices. If you guys are around the same age as I am, or even older, or even a little bit younger, and you have advices for people younger than you, definitely leave them in the comments below. This is how we all learn. But I appreciate you guys rocking with me up until this point. Next time I see you guys, I will be 30, and we can talk about some of the goals as a 30-year-old that I want to have for the next 5 to 10 years, and I'd love to hear y'all's as well. I appreciate you guys as always, and until next time, take care.